Do companies always realize they need help with their corporate culture, or do they tend to approach you initially regarding other challenges?
Most organizations do not realize that at the core of the operating system of the business is culture. And when we start to find out what's really going on, it becomes clearly evident that the first step that we need to address is the corporate culture. And when they realize that it's possible to measure it, and there are the appropriate tools today to see what the culture actually is and what it needs to move to, that becomes the first step of our engagement.
If companies don't have a positive corporate culture, how does that affect the training and development of their people?
What tends to happen is that when people are not engaged in a company, they're not that interested. And if they're not interested, they don't really care. And if they don't really care, they get sent to these training programs that companies spend a lot of money on. And they're there because they believe that they have to be there, but they're not really interested. And if they're not interested, they don't really take much in. So what happens is at the end of the program, you don't see much difference. And that is the biggest impact that a corporate culture has on training and development. When it's more positive, people learn quicker because they're interested, because they're keen, because they're open, and then they use it quicker, which means that the company gets the results. But when the culture is not very positive, people are not interested. And when they're not interested, you're not going to see the results. You're wasting a lot of money on your training and development programs. And I see a lot of that.
Do you have a specific process you use to help companies improve their corporate cultures?
Yes, and the process that I use is comprised of 3 distinct steps. The first step is to do a culture survey, where we measure the ideal culture that the executives want and need in order to drive excellence in the organization. The second part of the survey looks at the current culture that exists now. And then what we do is we move on to the second step of the process. And the second step is doing a culture strategy session to determine what the gap that exists is between the current culture and between the ideal culture. And in that strategy session, what we work on are the specific areas that we need to focus on in order to get the maximum return of our investment of time, energy, and money with regards to the impact on the organization. The third step is now rolling out the ideal culture and what needs to be done to the rest of the organization. This is the real fun stuff, because this is when people begin to engage. They were part of the survey because they had the input, and when they can see where the company is going, where it is right now, and their own contribution towards that, that makes all the difference. And that's when the momentum begins to build. That's exciting stuff.
What results do your customers typically realize?
Significant improvement in engagement, significant improvement in team collaboration, alignment, loyalty, commitment to the vision and the values of the organization, increased productivity, and people that are happy to come to this organization and are proud to be part of what they are creating together.